Welcome to the Red Network, where real estate dads juggle the high-stakes hustle of their careers with the heartwarming chaos of family life. Whether you're closing deals, changing diapers, or chasing dreams, we've got you covered. Join us for stories, strategies, and laughs as we navigate the perfect balance between hustle and home. The Red Network, where real life meets real estate.
All right, welcome back to the Real Estate Dad podcast. I am Jason Huck, and I'm excited to sit down today with Gerard Bullock, man of many names. We'll get into that later, but more than anything, a real estate powerhouse, entrepreneur, real estate broker, and a proud family man. Gerard started his career leading major operations for UPS and Under Armour before pivoting into entrepreneurship and real estate. Since getting his license in 2017 and jumping in full-time by 2019, Gerard has helped hundreds of clients across all price points, from first-time home buyers to luxury buyers up to $9 million. He served as a principal broker for a startup brokerage in 2020, growing it to 45 agents, and now leads a thriving real estate team of 7 agents, already at $12 million year to date. And on top of that, he and his wife, Sarah, run MeTime Drop-In Childcare, serve actively in their community, and are raising 4 incredible kids, 2 of which are D1 college athletes and 2 high schoolers. When he's not selling homes or traveling to games, you'll find him biking, hiking, or cooking on his big green egg. We've got a lot to dive into today around leadership, business growth, and building a big life, both at work and at home. Let's jump in. I got to start. We talked a little bit about whenever we're about to get on here. Man of many names. Tell us. I think it's hysterical. You got some Facebook posts that you put up there about how many times your name has been screwed up on like Starbucks cups, like all sorts of different things. Tell us about that.
Well, man, it started when I was like in the 2nd grade, and my teachers my name is Gerard. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
But they always take the R and then make it an L. So they called me Gerald like my whole career, my whole life in school. And then I even got in trouble for correcting teachers. They told me never to correct them. And then I used to correct them. They get mad at me. But yeah, man, it's like Gerald, Gennard, Gennario, Mark. I got one. It was like, what did it say? Oh, and then Gerard Butler. That's another one, right? That's the dude that's in the movie.
He's an actor. Right? You look just like him. I mean, they're identical.
So what I started doing is, like you said on Facebook, is I have a album called Butchered Name.
Yeah.
And every time that I get it, or somebody sends me, oh, here's a good one, real estate wise. Hey, man, I sent you an offer. How come you guys won't respond? I'm like, okay, great. Where'd you send the email to? It's like Gerald Bullock at gmail.com. I'm like,
not my name, man.
Double check that. Oh man, spell check. Nah, bro, not spell check. You sent it. So you're sitting here, you're trying to conduct business, and you're sending to the wrong guy.
Yeah.
So man, happens all the time.
All sorts of offers.
Happens all the time. Gerald, man, he's got a whole bunch of offers on his property.
That's hilarious. I thought that was pretty funny. That's pretty solid. I don't have as many as you. I've had a few, but not as many as old Gerald. That's great. So getting started, tell us a little bit about your starting out at UPS, Under Armour, and then transitioning into real estate. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I worked at UPS for a long time, like 14 years. I started off there unloading trucks, and then it was really like my first real job. And I kind of got into that and worked there, worked my way up started off unloading trucks and got my way up to a part-time supervisor, and then ended up running pretty much all of the DC area, that middle part of DC, back in 2010 or so. Left there, wanted less responsibility. So I went to Under Armour. 6 months later, got promoted to director of North American operations. So I went for less opportunity. Yeah, man. So and then the next thing you know, we're doing that. Right. So, but that was cool. So I did that. But really what happened was right around 2000, I moved to Nashville area, Mount Juliet, actually in 2015, with Under Armour's building a distribution center right here in Middle Tennessee. So I moved here with them, my forever job, be there for 30 years, going to retire. And then 2 years later, my wife opened a drop-in daycare, and she was working boatload of hours, man. Mm-hmm. And our kids at the time were in the high school ages, and they were getting ready to start the college recruiting process. And really, I really couldn't work in a distribution center managing North America and then travel with my children to kind of help them on the recruiting side. So my wife had always been pushing me to get my real estate license, and I was never going to do anything like that because, first of all, I didn't even understand how real estate agents got paid. Seriously, I didn't even know like how it worked out. And then so she's in my ear telling me to get my license.
Mm-hmm.
And then I go to a parent gathering at my kid's school, and a friend of mine, he says, "Hey man, how's your job going?" I'm like, it's going great, but kind of want to do something else. And needs a little bit more flexibility. So he told me to get my mortgage license and become a mortgage broker.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, do you know what kind of math student I was in school? I said, I don't want any part of that. I don't want to be a banker, because he was telling me you'd pretty much be a banker. And then he looks at me and goes, "Get your real estate license." So I said, okay, that's 2, right? So my wife's in my ear. This random dude said something to me. Thanks, Gavin. Appreciate it. And then I looked into getting my license and saw that I needed to go to school for 2 weeks. So I took off 2 weeks of work. I was one of those dudes that kept all his PTO because I was afraid that I'd always run out, but I always had like hundreds of hours because I never took days off. So I took off 2 weeks back to back, got my real estate license. Took the test like after my certificate came in, passed it on the first try. So within 3 weeks, I had my real estate license.
Mm-hmm.
So called my old broker. I called my old real estate agent who sold me my house and was like, "Hey man, like, what do I got to do to get my real estate license?" And then I signed on with them, and it was 2017, and then about a year and a half later, I was out. So,
Yep, man. And you went from brand new agent to principal broker, growing a startup. Ended up getting up to 45 agents, then built your own successful team. There's some challenges early on, I'm sure. Tell me, what challenges did you run into in starting out new agent, startup company, and then growing your own team?
Well, man, the biggest challenge I had, honestly, was identity, right? It was like I go from running, I'm the assistant VP to this and that, and the title, I got my name on my door and all this kind of stuff, right? And then now I'm real estate agent with holding open house signs, begging people to come into a house and eat my cookies and drink my water, right? So the biggest problem I had was getting over the fact that I was like just unemployed every day and just trying to figure out like what to do. So had a good system in place where I just basically did what everybody told me to do. Call a whole bunch of people, hold a bunch of open houses, follow up with people, learn the contract, right? So I just did that repeatedly because in my warehouse background, it's all about inputs and outputs, right? So if you do this thing this many times, then you get this outcome. And then I saw that this is easy. I'm like, okay, great. It's not easy, but it's
pretty
just
simple.
If I do this stuff, this will happen, right? And it's now it might not happen right away, but it took me a little while to do that. So honestly, when people would ask me what I was doing, they'd be like, "What do you do now?" "Oh man, my wife owns a daycare. I sell a little bit of real estate, kind of do some consulting." I never was really successful. And so I said, "I'm a real estate agent." When I started saying it and just actually like doing it, then that's when my fortunes kind of changed and I kind of got into whatever it was going to be. So, but that was it, man. I held a bunch of open houses, knocked on a bunch of doors, sent a bunch of flyers, and just followed up with my clients and just built a system around it. And then it kind of turned into, a sustainable business. And then what happened is just like when I left Under Armour, just like I left with UPS, went to Under Armour, I get to the brokerage and I said to the broker, I was like, "Hey man, I want to run an office one day." He was like, "Well, you probably should sell a house first," right? That's what he told me. That's exactly what he told me.
Be a great start.
What do I need to sell, right? So then they had like this class where it was like, if you sell less than 8 houses in a year, you have to continue to go to this mentoring. And I'd hear agents in there saying the same thing every week. "Oh, I didn't do this. Dog ate my homework," all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, "Man, I gotta get out of here, man." So I was like, "How many houses do I gotta sell?" He said, "You're 5 away." I was like, So I went out and just got 5 transactions. Like, but get out of here. So that was my motivation, was to get out of that class. So, but then I saw like, if I could just turn it on, it was great. So yeah, so I kind of went to him afterwards, got into the brokerage. And then it was pretty much just my office management background that kind of helped me into it. And then just kind of realized that real estate is not much different than any other corporate or leadership role, especially on the brokerage side. It's basically just take care of your people, be there whenever they need you, mentor them when they need you, and hold them accountable when they need you to do that too. So it's really what it is. You just find out what those metrics are, and then just tell your leadership to that.
Mm-hmm. One of the cool things about doing this podcast is being able to meet with a lot of different real estate professionals. And I say real estate professionals because I'm a big believer there's a big difference between a real estate licensee and a real estate professional. You know, the barrier of entry to get your real estate license is not super high. And there's a lot of them, but there's definitely a separation between the ones, like you said, where dog ate my homework, you know, I don't have any business, you know, a lot of excuses, and the ones just kind of blow it out of the water and start a real estate business. And then there's also a pretty big difference between having a real estate business and having a real estate job or a side hustle, right? And not that either of them is right or wrong, but if you're a busy guy and you want to make a good income and you want to have time to be able to do the things that you want to do, you have to have a real estate business where it's going to run, the systems are going to run. You can still get your clients great results and what I call a referable experience, but then be present and being able to do the things that you want to do. What do you think is the difference between the people that are able to start, grow, run real estate business, whether it's just a one-man show and it runs really well, or if it's a 45-person brokerage or a 12-person team? What do you think is the difference between those that say they want to do it and the ones that actually do?
The ones that actually do. So like the ones who actually put together a plan, and it's not just go out and just do things that don't really produce results. So it's really, you got to have a system, you got to have a plan, right? So I don't care what the business is. I don't care if you're selling widgets. I don't care if you're trying to sell real estate. You have to have a sustainable plan, because you can't scale anything if you don't have the system in place, right? It's just like running a warehouse. So I think that the difference is you can see people like, and you're a broker too, right? So you get it, man. Like, you can talk to the agent that's been at 5 brokerages and know that they're good. They're going to have the same results that they had, because it's not the brokerage, it's not the system, it's always somebody else, right? Oh, nobody wants to talk. As soon as they start talking that, I just call them out, man. I'm like, hey, look, everywhere you go, you seem to have the same problems. Yeah, man, people just do this to me. I'm like, man, what's the thing that's in common? It's you. So like, you kind of, and people could change, right? It's not like a one size fits all where it always happens, but you got to really understand that whatever you're doing, if you find yourself getting the same results after a certain amount of time, it's something that you're doing or not doing.
Yeah.
So
what's the common denominator?
Yeah, man. So for me, it's like, you can kind of identify what those things are, and you can see the person who they're successful in whatever it is that they do. Right. So it's like, it's not even about real estate. Cause and people get mad at me for saying this business is not that hard.
Right.
It's hard to stay consistent and do the activities to make you successful, but the activities itself are not hard. It's just hard to stay consistent.
Yeah.
Because it's boring sometimes. I made a video yesterday because I held an open house yesterday. Team lead, 8 years, whatever in the business, holding an open house, right? And I hate picking up signs, man. So I made a video about me picking up signs. I hate it, but I got to do it, right? It's time to make the donuts. So it's like, you got to, you can see the people that do the things that they don't like to do, and that those things make them successful. Just because you like 95% of the job, there's 5% you don't like, you still got to do it. Yeah. Right. So I think that's the differences, and it translates into sports, it translates into sales, it translates into running a daycare. If you consistently do the things that produce results, a lot of people shy away from those things,
They do. I was going to say there's a lot of correlations there. I was in the fitness industry before I was in real estate, and it's not rocket science. Like whatever your fitness goals are, whether you lose weight, get stronger, get faster, get whatever the case may be, it's not rocket science. It's just do this and you get that, right? And the trouble is that a lot of people just aren't willing to do this to get that, and even though they may be willing to do it, they're not willing to do it consistently because everybody has good days, bad days, busy days, and on a good day, sunshine and rainbows, feeling hunky dory, I might be able to do it. Bad day, don't feel like it. Busy day, don't have time for it. All of a sudden, they're not getting the results that they want, and then all of a sudden, they fall off. And so, I think that's you hit the nail on the head. The biggest correlation I've seen with the ones that have been very successful and the ones that maybe have not is they just put in the work and they run their business like a business, and they're consistent. They're very consistent. And I think that then allows you to be able to free up and do the things that you want to do, like travel with your kiddos around all over the country and all things, which we're able to kind of touch base on social media and just, DMs and stuff back and forth. It seems like we're often in different cities with our kids' sports and stuff. The tagline of the show is balancing hustle and home. Tell us, how do you balance hustle and home? You've got 4 kids, all sports, all over the country. How do you balance hustle and home?
Well, I mean, you don't really balance it. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's for me, it's not a balance, right? So balance is, it's like work-life balance, the same thing, right? Balance means it's like even, right? So that's how you balance something, unless there's like something like heavily weighted. So for me, it's hard. So, and I remind my kids a lot too. It's like, hey, look, I used to not be here. I used to work nights on purpose, so that way I can just be a walking zombie at all the things, right? And then I saw that all these pictures that we were taking that for my kids were real little, and I was sleeping half of them because I was working nights trying to be there, right? So the balance is like, it's blended for me, right? My kids know, and I know that I'm going to take my work with me, and I'm going to be there. But Daddy might go step out for 7 minutes and get on the phone. Or I was in Azusa, California, 2 weeks ago to track meet. At my daughter, she scored 5,555 points in the heptathlon, and as she was preparing to jump 5'8". I was taking a video of it too, because I was like, man, I'm not here writing I'm counter offering. I'm writing a counter, and my daughter's about to jump 5'8", right? Like literally at the high jump pit. So the balance for me is, I try to put in as much work on all the days that I'm in town. That way that when I go out of town, I'm just doing a lot of reactionary stuff. And then also is, the best defense is offense. So part of your systems are, for me, I don't like when clients call me asking me questions. Yep, I said it. I don't like when you call me asking me questions, because that means I didn't tell you whatever the thing was. I should have told you whatever it is you're asking me before you called me. So what I try to do is try to spit out as much information as possible, give you as many updates as possible. So that way I'm delivering the narrative and you're not asking me something that I should have told you in the first place. So for me to balance it is I try to be as transparent, open, communicative as possible. So that way there is no, hey man, guess what? Like, I don't like surprises. I hate surprises. So the balance is doing all the work on the front end. So that way you're not playing defense and you're not having to answer an emergency phone call because the appraisal came in. Well, if the appraisal's due back today, why don't I call them and then call my client? Why do I have to wait until you shoot it to me? And the next thing what's going on? So the balance to me is, one, I take it work with me a lot. My kids, I kind of make it a part of it. And I kind of incorporate them into the work too. Like, I have my daughter help me shoot a video right now. Then I have bring one to an open house, right? So just stuff like that. So to me, it's like just set everything up on the front end. And the good thing for me, luckily, is, actually it's the other way around. If I'm on the West Coast, I know I'm going to have a problem, because if it's 9 a.m. in Nashville, it's 7 a.m., right? Or if it's 7 a.m. here, it's 5 a.m. So I got to get up. I know I got to get those updates and I got to communicate out early before they start calling me.
Yeah. Yeah. Because of the time difference and bringing your kids into real estate. And then also now your son's joining you on your team, right?
Yeah, he's there. I mean, so he got his license, I'm gonna say, man, was it 2025 to 2021 or so? So what happened was he was at the University of Dayton. He was playing quarterback there, and then he transferred. And then when he transferred right after that COVID year or whatever, he was in limbo and didn't really know where he was going to play. So he got his real estate license just to get it and kind of help me with open houses, help me with showings, and brought some clients too. So and I thought it would be a good way to expose him to the real estate world early on. So he got his license, and we're kind of debating right now on what to do now that he's going to Georgia to play football. So we got to figure out, do we get our Georgia license? If we retire our Tennessee license? But it's been pretty cool to have him to be able to. I mean, he's helped me close deals before where I wasn't available, and he can go out and show the property for me, or he can go let the client in, hold open houses for me, and it was pretty cool. So, and I know my daughter's talking about getting her license too when she graduates
Nice.
from Oregon, and she's going to train and get ready for the next steps or whatever. So
That's awesome. That's selfishly, I would love for both my kids to eventually get into some real estate, some capacity, just so that we can work together like that. I've tried to plant a couple seeds without, manipulating or putting too much pressure or anything like that. My son, he's 8 years old. His biggest decision right now is if he's going to go to the NFL, NBA, or MLB. So that's what he's focused on right now. And I said, well, buddy, a lot of times those guys are retired by like 30 years old. So that's a great first career. What do you think you want to do after that? And, maybe we should think about, obviously you're going to get drafted first round, all these things, but what do you think about after those things? And he's like, I think I want to work with you. I was like, oh man, that'd be great. And so still going to try to ride that for a little while. Fingers crossed, kind of run into the same thing that you are right now. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I know that same conversation. My 15-year-old, he's 15 now. Yeah, he's 15. Same thing, right? But it's always, I love the conversations because, it kind of goes to what we were talking about. Like you said, like those are his decisions, right? So my son, he's like, hey man, when I retire from the NFL, not if I get to the NFL and make it, when I retire. So
when
I'm like,
I'm done. Yeah.
hey man, so I don't correct him at all. I just let him roll.
I love that. So you're a little ahead of me. You've got kids in college, about to graduate college, which is hard to believe. We were talking about that before. I've got one that's going to middle school, and then my 8-year-old son will be going to third grade next year. And so how do you, like, what are, I guess my question is, what are some like dad lessons that you've got? You've got a little more experience there. We got about the same amount of real estate experience. I got my license around the same time as you did. It's 2016. And I'm also going to be interviewing a couple other like new dads on here. Yeah. But if you've got like some dad advice of like parenting while in the industry, like just things like that, what would that be?
Well, man, cherish those early years because they ain't coming back, right?
Yeah.
They only get dirtier and more demanding, and that you think is expensive now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So save your money. Number one, save your money. But be there, right? So to do all the things, man, like coach the t-ball, coach the baseball, be there, and don't do it for business reasons, right? Just do it because you want to be there, right? Because I remember my dad coming to my games, right? I remember all that, and the kids always remember that. So just be there, be present. Just try to help out whenever you can. So be the volunteer to go bring the snacks or whatever it is. And as a kid, as your kids are really little, read to your kid at night, right? Mm-hmm. Those things like that. Read them bedtime stories, play little games with them, like all that kind of stuff. Play toys, be your inner kid, get your toys out, do all that kind of stuff that you really want to do anyway, but you think you're too cool to do it. Mm-hmm. Do it, right? Because somebody's going to think you're really cool for doing that, right? Mm-hmm. So I say, and then put the kids before the business, right? Like, don't worry about if you got a conflict, and that's another thing, man. We could talk about that all day. When we talked about being structured, we talked about being everything kind of put together for yourself, you got to shoot for your day, right? So you got to plan out certain activities that are centered around your family, and you got to plan it, and no one can touch those times. So I would get into the habit of that, because I know when you're new, starting off in the business, and you're new as a new dad and new to real estate, your client's going to call you and say, let's go look at this house right now. And you're going to go run, put on your shoes, and you're going to go do it. No, don't do it if you have other things planned, because if that client can't, wait. Now, 2021 was a little different, right? We got to go look at a property. We got to go.
And we got to send the offer like before we even get to the house.
Before you get there, right? Well, your kid's coming with you too, right? They're going to bring you in. But what I'm saying is don't like, I've done that before. It never works out well, right? And, so just plan your day, plan your activities, and time block, right? So I'm actually in my calendar now. I mean, the time blocking is serious, and make sure that you time block certain activities with your kids and your family.
Well, I think it also kind of goes back to running a business instead of what I call being a Pop-Tart realtor, right? Of like anytime a client calls, or anytime somebody needs something, or anytime there's a problem, or it's very reactionary versus being proactive, and making sure. I tell my kids this all the time, and I don't know if they necessarily understand just yet, but maybe it'll sink in at some point. Is that you have to make sure everybody's replaceable, right? Like I could be replaced tomorrow, and you have to make sure that if you are replaced, that doesn't kill your business, and you have to make yourself as hard as possible to replace as you can. I had a leadership meeting, and this is one of those, like, it's quarterly, it's for our region, and it's one of those that you don't really miss this meeting. And if you do, it's because you're getting married, you're having a baby, something like that.
Sure.
And we had one coming up. And it was last year, my son's baseball team. We've never really been good enough to really have too much concern about going too deep into the tournament. And so it wasn't ever really like a super big concern. Well, they got pretty good. And they won the championship. And this is how good we were in previous years. I didn't realize there was something after the championship. And so now we're going to like these regionals, and all right, well, if we win the first game, they have another game on the day of this meeting. And so I had to send out a text, and to me, it's a no brainer. Like, I'm not going, and I'm going to my son's game. And so I had to send this email to the leadership there, like, hey, I just want to be as proactive as possible. I want to give you a heads up. There's a chance that I will not be there. Let me know if there's anything that you need from me beforehand or that I can do afterward. And they kind of responded back like, is everything okay? Like, what's going on? Why would you not be there? I said, well, my son's in the regionals. If we win the first game, then we play on the day of the meeting. So I'll be at his game. And in that moment, they could really kind of give me a hard time and be like, no, like, you need to be here. But they're like, oh, okay, well, good luck. And unfortunately, he didn't win. So I showed up at the meeting. They're like, oh, he lost. I was like, yeah. But I think in that moment of like, listen, like, this is not even a question. I'm not giving you the option. I'm not going to try to make both things work. Like, this is a priority. I'm going to be at that game, because I'm not going to be in 30 years like, gosh, I wish I would have went to one more meeting, right? Like, it's making sure you're making those memories at the time with the kids, because like you said, they're not going to be there for very long.
Yeah, and then that, to that point, it's like this, right? I was talking about it with my wife the other day, because she runs a business too.
Yeah.
And you don't get in trouble for missing the one meeting. You get in trouble for not showing up the 50 times that you should have showed up. Yeah. And then you missed the meeting, right?
This strong comes back, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like it's just like calling out of work. You don't get fired because your dog died. You got fired because you called out 16 times when you shouldn't have, and then your dog died, and that was the last straw. Yep. So you've built enough trust and goodwill with the organization to know that if you're not going to be there, it's probably pretty important, right? Mm-hmm. So same thing with your clients and everybody else. Like, look, if you're there and you're taking care of business, doing what you need to do, and something comes up and you've never, like, you only come up with just something like huge, then all day, So that's how I look at that. So yeah, man, the big things, you gotta make sure you're there for them. And I tell people all the time, like, look, if they can't understand that, then I don't know
Might
if
not
that's
be.
right. So
Mhm.
I get it.
What about this? So, we had somebody that was on earlier, and he had a really great phrase. Said that there's more that's caught than taught with your kids. Like, I can try to preach and preach and preach to my kids, and then there's going to be that one thing that I happen to say on the phone that they were just listening to that is now ingrained in stone, and they caught that, right? Or they're going to catch like how you treat people and things of that nature. What's one thing that you hope that your kids pick up from you, either that they've learned just you as a dad or you as a business professional? What's something that you really want your kids to pick up or your kids to catch?
That I'm there for them, that I'm there,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, and be there for your kids, my grandkids rather. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I really hope that they catch. Business wise, treat everybody with dignity and respect, no matter where they are, no matter where they are in life or what they're trying to accomplish. But treat everybody with the same dignity and respect. Treat them not how you want to be treated, but treat them how they want to be treated.
Mm-hmm.
And but mainly, it's just like be there for your kids. Like, that's all that's important. The most important thing. Everything kind of funnels down from that. So your
Yeah.
kids, your wife, your family, that's number one. And everything that you do, if it's not working towards that, then it's a waste of time.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I got a couple other little rapid fire questions for you as
Yeah.
well. So you're big time cook, griller, smoker, all things. I see the videos on Facebook on the Big Green Egg. What's your favorite thing to cook for the family?
For the family, man, I made these pizzas last night, man. They were good. But my favorite thing to make, I would say, I love making breakfast. I do that every day, right?
Okay.
We'll do bacon, egg, sausage. But my favorite, like, real uh, challenging cook, I would say,
Mm-hmm.
is the 3-2-1 method ribs, right? 3 hours, 2 hours, 1 hour. That's my favorite thing to cook. The barbecue rib. I make my own sauce.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Is it a secret sauce? Are you able to send me that recipe at some point?
At some point, yeah, I'll send you some stuff. It's pretty secret. It's pretty standard stuff, but then there's like one ingredient that's like, you put what in there?
Got it.
You know what I mean? So
Got it.
yeah, it's pretty standard, but there is an ingredient in there that is like, what made you think of that? I don't even know what made me think of it, but
That's
yeah,
interesting. We'll have to get into that. Maybe not on the air, but we'll get into it at some point.
yeah.
You travel all over the place with your kiddos, both with travel sports and then also now that college sports and going all over the country. Where's been your favorite city to travel to for like the sports, whether it be youth, college, whatever? Favorite city that you've gone to?
I love I love going through Salt Lake City.
Okay.
But I would say ultimately the best place like that I love is that Azusa. Actually, you know what? Eugene, Oregon. Eugene, Oregon is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Nice little town, about an hour from the coast, not the beach. They call it the coast. And Eugene's pretty cool. It's a good track city. It's a good college town. It's pretty nice. I get out there. It's a different vibe. The weather from May until September is phenomenal. You go anytime after that, it's rainy, it's nasty. But that's a pretty cool place to kind of hang out in. It's kind of one of my favorites. And then I would also say I like going to Azusa, California, like
Okay.
that Inland Empire, to a track meet there. And Boulder, Colorado is pretty cool too. Let's throw that out there too. Yeah.
That's awesome. What's favorite way to unwind with the family? We're always running and gunning, doing a lot of things, sports, real estate, all that stuff. What's your favorite way to unwind with the family?
I love cooking, man. I love
Yeah.
going outside, cooking, get the smoke going. That's my way to kind of unwind. Is kind of, I get out there for a couple minutes, got the hot tub right there. But then from the family standpoint, we love going to the beach. My girls love the water. But for me personally, like if I want to personally get away and unwind, I love hiking and walking. I probably go do the White Trail over here today in Percy Warner, probably around 12:30, 1 o'clock before the track meet today. My youngest has a track meet, but I love to get outside and I love lifting weights and stuff like that. But there's nothing beats walking outside to clear your head, to kind of get through, when you got a lot going on. And what I find in my life is sometimes you don't make time. You feel like you don't have time to do those things. But what I'm learning now is I can't afford not to make time to do those things, because I kind of need that, because it does, man. I mean, it looks cool, just like social media, right? So like, it looks cool. Gerard's traveling, he's having a good time, man. By like, all right. So like last week, right? 2 weeks ago, I went from Atlanta, flew to LA, flew to Kansas City, back home. It was a 9-day trip. By day 7, I was done, man.
Tired.
So I had to get out. I was in Kansas City, so I had to get out, and they had found a little trail. I got this app where I could find a trail. I found a little trail, man. It was an hour-long walk, kind of reset, cleared my head, and then I was able to knock it out. Because it is tough, man, not sleeping in your bed and running around doing. I mean, you know how it is.
Well, I think that's why it's just even more important to really take care of yourself and to have a consistent workout regimen, to eat good food consistently, to not, do the things that are going to harm your body. Because like, if you're not putting the right things in your body, you're not moving around consistently, you're not going to feel like doing a lot of those things. Like, there's plenty of times I get home and, man, I'm tired. I had a busy day. Maybe it started at 5 a.m. and now it's just kind of wrapping up, and I've used, my brain way too much. And so my brain's tired, body's tired, and get home and, hey, you want to throw in the backyard? Like, I want to say yes to everything. And so all things kids. And so, I don't want to ever be like, man, like, I'm tired, buddy. Like, I don't want to throw right now. Like, I can't imagine doing that, because there's going to be a time where that question is not asked. And so making sure that your body is in a position to where, even though like you might be mentally tired, just do it. Like, you're going to regret not doing it. And so having the energy level to be able to say yes to those things. And much like yourself, we were out in Vegas for a conference. It's the biggest conference of the year. And, it's towards the end. People are at the airport and, kind of licking their wounds, ready to get back in town. They're exhausted, both from being at a conference and then also a conference in Vegas, right? And they're like, man, I can't wait to get home. I'm just going to crash. I was like, yeah, I'm heading to Orlando. And they're like, what are you doing in Orlando? And I said, well, my daughter's got a gymnastics meet, and so we're going to go do Universal. So not only did we do Vegas for a week, but we're going to go do Universal and walk 13 miles. And then we're going to do a gymnastics meet the next day. And just having the opportunity to do that, one, and then also to be able to just do that and not crash, I think is just so important, because eventually you won't have that anymore.
Yeah, nobody cares, right?
Yeah.
So, nobody cares.
Do it.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares you're tired. So, hey, let's do this, let's do that. So you're like, oh my God, I did that too, man. We were in we were in Nashville we had to take our son to the airport to go on a DC trip. And then we drove to Indianapolis for the Big Ten indoor track championships, like big time track. They end up winning the conference championship. And then from there, we flew to Orlando for a volleyball tournament. And then on the plane, I got this little like scratch in my throat and in my ear. Next thing you know, I'm like, man, do I have a fever? Like, oh my God. Man, I was down there, man, miserable. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. So you just gotta make it happen, man. You gotta
buckle up, Buttercup.
Jeez. Yeah, man. It's tough sometimes.
Awesome. Well, closing things out, anything that we didn't talk about that you want to touch on, any advice that you want to give, anything like that?
Yeah, I'll just say advice, right? So, don't do anything halfway. Just do it. Go all the way through it. And if there's a challenge, and then block your time, right? So for me, like I said, the first thing I do on my calendar is I have all my kids' events and my stuff with my wife. That's in red on my calendar. That's it. And then I put work in from there after that. So, as real estate agents, they always tell you to set boundaries with your clients and to make sure, well, then do that. Like, just plan out all your stuff. If you got a volleyball or you got a gymnastics meet at this time on these days, put it in your calendar. And then if somebody's looking for you, you're not available. You have an appointment, right? So and just build your time around that. You can you'll as long as you always know when those things are, you can always plan for it. So I would say do that. And if you're new to real estate and you're just starting out, same thing. Just block your time around those family events, and then block your time around when you have to do some work activities, and just make sure you get it all done.
Love that. Awesome, man. Well, I know you're a busy dude. We talked about it. I appreciate you blocking out a little time for us for the Real Estate Dad podcast. We'll touch base after this. We'd love to kind of pick your brain on a few other things, and then also I'm gonna get that recipe for that barbecue sauce at some point. So
I can give it to you. It's just one little thing.
One little thing. Well, Gerald, appreciate your time with us, and tell us how you balance hustle and home. Until next time, we will see you later.
Thank you.